There was a little boy who wanted to meet God. And so he was about to take a walk so he could go meet God, and he knew it would be a long journey to get to where God was. So he took out his backpack and he put in a bag of chips because he might get hungry along the way. When he got about 3 blocks, he saw an old man sitting on a park bench just staring at some pigeons. And so he sat down next to the man. They didn't say anything to each other. The little boy got hungry, and so he opened up his backpack and opened up his bag of chips. And just before he was going to take a handful, he thought, that old guy looks hungry. I'll just offer him some of my chips. And so he offered him some chips, and the old man was so appreciative, gave the biggest smile. He had so much gratitude, and he took some chips, and the boy's like, wow, what an incredible smile. What gratitude. And they sat there. They didn't speak, but they sat there eating chips. It got to be about dusk, and the boy said, I better get home. So he starts walking away, takes a few steps, and turns around and goes back to the man and gives him a big hug. And the boy had such a big smile on his face. The old man was like, wow, look at this boy. He's just so happy to be here, to be with me. The little boy went home, and his mom noticed right away that he had a glow about him. He said, what happened? What did you do this afternoon? Why do you look so happy? And he said, I met God in the park. We had lunch. He's older than I thought he was, but he sure likes chips. At about the same time, the old man went home, and his son said, wow, you got a very nice smile on your face. What's going on with you? He said, well, I had lunch in the park with God today. He's a lot younger than I thought. And the point of that story is to never underestimate what we can do with just a smile, with just a hug, with just our presence, with just a bag of chips, just being with someone. So we're invited to have lunch with God, bring chips, and find that God connection. Find that God connection. It's everywhere. On Friday, we had Greg Wilkins here for the gong bath for our first Friday. And like last year when he was here, I had a really profound experience during the gong bath. And he said, if you want to meditate during it or fall asleep, I don't know how you fall asleep during the gong bath, but it's pretty loud. Whatever works for you while we're doing this. And so I decided I was going to meditate through it. And I always like to ask myself a question before I start meditating, and then just go to I don't know. Just empty myself, so whatever comes. And I decided the question was, how can I love myself more? And as we went through the gong baths, I didn't get a specific answer to that, but I felt like it was in my bones. It was like I just felt this shedding of skin. It was incredible. Like whatever needed to be released was released. And I just felt this oneness with everyone in the room. And there were several people I hadn't met before. It was the first time in the building. Just felt this love. I felt this God connection with not just myself, but with everybody. It was an incredible experience to have this God connection, have this oneness, to know this oneness. And so I share that today because today we're looking at, again, we're using our book, Wake Up Grateful, by Christy Nelson, our theme for this year, Wake Up Grateful. And she has a chapter called Cherishing Connections. We want to cherish the connections that we have. We want to expand the connections that we make. We want to have these God connections where we're seeing the best in people, where we're coming from the best of ourselves. And there's a video that Vicki Hopkins shared with me back in February of it, just waiting for the right moment to share it. Her daughter-in-law works with the boy's father, who is the PE instructor at Soaring Heights in Erie. The little boy goes to Soaring Heights in Erie. His name's Declan, and he he was named a kid with a cape, and he uses his extraordinary gifts to make connections. Watch this.
Oh, I cannot wait for you all to see this week's Kids with Capes. His name is Declan, and after interviewing him, he inspired me to be more present and curious of others, and hopefully you will too.
Hey, Corky, you mind putting that on a good part in the interview?
Meet Declan Simpkins, an outgoing 10-year-old who was nominated by many of his peers to be featured on Kids with Capes.
I like to ask about people's dogs, cats, fish, geckos, even porcupines.
And the reason he intentionally asks about people's pets or what they love most?
So I can have a better connection.
A reoccurring theme for those who admire him, his ability to connect and make people feel seen.
I like to talk about people's pets. I like to tell them about sports because it'll make them happy.
Declan understands people and himself better than most adults.
So I was diagnosed with autism. And then 6 years old, APD, auditory processing disorder, although I call it auditory processing difference. Because there's nothing wrong. I'm not broken. You can't break a human based on their disorders.
You can add Y's to Declan's attributes, and if you tell Declan the name of your pet or your favorite sports team, he won't forget. He also has an innate ability to memorize anything and everything.
Once something's in my brain, it's never getting out. And I call it memory trapping. So memory trapping is where I ask about something, and then I'm given an answer, and then it gets sucked into a special place in my brain. I don't know where it is, and then it just stays there for the rest of my life.
Declan has a thirst for learning.
I learn
Declan knows more about sports than most.
So I like to read the ESPN It's a Numbers Game National Geographic kids books.
And he's a Special Olympics athlete, a very good one at that, and recently attended a training camp at Ball Arena with some of his favorite idols.
Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Deron Holmes II. Deron Holmes II was following me around everywhere.
That's because people gravitate towards Declan, and NBA superstars are no different.
Yeah, I like to bond in sports.
And most of all, he is always thinking about everyone else, even in the middle of our interview when he noticed his dad.
One thing, can we bring some attention? Can we bring some attention to him? So I just want to respect and let everybody get a turn.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
So what are Declan's plans for his future?
Did you get that all on camera? I might someday go into the NFL. Memorize what the other team is play calling, what plays they have, so I know what to do if they call those plays.
And his thoughts on so many people nominating him?
I'm gonna stand up for the rest of the interview. I think I'm a child hero because I got a lot of invisible differences and I work through them really well.
Isn't he adorable? Oh my gosh. Thank you, Vicki. Yeah, so a lot of invisible differences. We all have a lot of invisible differences. But mostly we see people and we judge based on what we see on the outside instead of what's inside. And that's where the connections, the God connections happen, is when we connect soul to soul, when we connect with somebody's heart, when we see with the eyes of the heart and not with the physical eyes. When we see someone, you really see them, really hear them. I love this quote from the first book of Samuel, which says that mortals see with the eyes, but the Lord sees with the heart. The Lord sees with the heart. The Lord, the Christ within us, the highest version of ourselves, sees with the heart, sees beyond the appearances. And John says, do not look with appearances alone, look with right, or not, do not judge by appearances, judge with right judgment. See with the eyes of the heart. See what's inside somebody and make that God connection. It's so important. There's another quote here by, listening affirms the inherent worth in others and in life itself. When we neglect to live from a place of curiosity, we send a message that we feel complete as we are and would rather recycle stale information than explore and let ourselves be impacted by new understanding, so much of which is awakened in our connections. So we need to listen and be curious. Be curious with the answers like Declan is. And then remember, try to remember. We don't have his brain. But it's so important to make those connections. Did I miss a quote at the beginning, Tom? I think the one about the portal. Grateful living helps us unleash our most generous selves as we practice taking nothing and no one for granted. Our relationships are powerful portals to the fullness of life. Powerful portals. Our relationships are what bring us joy, or what bring us laughter, what bring us fullness and love. And that's what makes life so worth living and so much fun. It's the connections that we have. And so we want to listen, and we want to have a sense of curiosity. Christy Nelson talks about in this chapter that if we don't have humility, if we feel like we already know everything, we won't be curious. We won't ask questions. And people that can't have some humility or be humble also have a hard time making connections, also have a hard time apologizing. They have a hard time appreciating. And that's where life is fun, in the appreciation, in the connections that we make. So important to our lives and to our well-being. My mother-in-law, when she was 50, Judy, decided she wanted to create her own little community, and she brought 12 friends who she knew all of them well, but they didn't know each other. And she brought this group together, and for the next 36 years, they became really close. They called themselves Sisters by Choice. And 3 of them are going to speak at her celebration of life next month. What an incredible connecting point to bring people together from different walks of her life. When she was 70, she's such a role model for me. When she was 70, she threw herself a birthday party and invited 70 women, friends. Who has 70 women friends when you're 70? And I think she did the same thing when she was 80, 75 or 80. And the only 2 men allowed were her son, Kevin, and her brother. 70 women. She was a master at creating connections, at cherishing those connections, of helping people feel heard and feel seen. That's where he gets it from. Many of you know Kevin. It's beautiful when you can witness that. And it's beautiful when we can do it ourselves. Have some humility, be humble, so that we can be curious about people, so that we can just be fully present. Pope Francis, who just passed away the day after Easter, was masterful at connections too, at humility. They talk about his intense amount of humility and how beautiful a soul he was in making connections, in bringing nations together, in bringing religious leaders together, in reaching out to people who other people may just not even see. It's a beautiful person, beautiful soul. Several years ago, there was a video of him speaking to a group of students, little kids. And there was one little boy that came up to the microphone that wanted to ask a question. And he just started sobbing, and he couldn't get the words out. And so the Pope just said, "Come on up." And he gave him a big hug. And they were whispering to each other. We couldn't hear it on the video, but it's later translated into English, that the little boy was worried that his father had just died and his father was not going to go to heaven because his father didn't go to church. And Pope Francis, in his wisdom, told this little boy what he needed to hear. Your father loved you. Your father baptized you. Your father had God's heart. Of course he's in heaven. Of course he is. And he's loving you and looking down on you from there. And that boy was interviewed when he was 16, just recently, sharing this story and how it changed his life. That one connection changed his life. Changed his life. We can do that too. We can make God connections with people and change their life. We don't know the effect we have on others. How a smile may be the only smile somebody gets that day, or the only hug somebody gets, or that just the touch, touching or holding hands is so important. It's so important to tell people too. There's a man named Walter Green. You may have heard of him. He started a movement. When he was 70, he made a list of people who had impacted his life in a profound way. He had been a CEO of a company for 25 years, very successful. And at 70, he decided he was going to go visit these 44 people. And he traveled around the US and abroad to sit down and spend time with each one of these 44 people and tell them what they meant to him. He ended up writing a book when he got back. It's escaping me the name of the book, but you can Google Walter Green. Afterwards, not long afterwards, a friend of his asked him, when I pass away, would you do my celebration of life? And Walter said, no, I will not unless you do one thing. He goes, why wait? Why wait for you to pass away, for you to make your transition, for all these people to come together and tell you what difference you made in their lives? Don't you want to hear it? Don't you want to be there? And so he said, if you will agree, he was going to have a 75th birthday in a couple months. He said, if you will agree to having a 75th birthday party and inviting all the people that you think would come to your celebration of life, and let them honor you, receive it, then I will do your celebration of life. And so they did. And it was beautiful that he was able to hear what a difference he had made to so many people. All his family and friends were there. Because we have to say it now. We can't wait. Why do we wait till someone passes and then honor them and have a tribute to them? Do it now. Say it now. So Walter started this movement called Say It Now, justsayitnow.org. So there's all these resources and information that you can get if you go to justsayitnow.org that can help you. And it doesn't matter how you say it, just say it. Just tell people what they mean to you. Make that God connection heart to heart. It means so much. And if you don't know what to say, Christy Nelson has some great ideas here in this chapter. She calls them 3-word wonders. Just start with 3 words. For appreciation, I am grateful. For recognition, I can see. For curiosity, I am wondering. For inquiry, help me understand. For presence, I am here. For validation, it makes sense. For empathy, I can imagine. And for humility, I am sorry. Those are all just 3 little words. And she didn't even say in here, oh yes, she does. I love you. 3 little words that can make such a huge difference and start a conversation with somebody and a connection at a deeper level. She also recommends doing what she calls gratefulize. I know it's not really a word, gratefulize, but gratefulize somebody. Gratefulize someone means to tell them how you feel and pick out something about them, not just I appreciate you, but something specific that you really appreciate. And take one person per day and find somebody to gratefulize. Gratefulize. It can make a big difference. Big difference. We don't know the ripple effects it has either. As you do this for someone that you appreciate, what they will do for someone else, and someone else, and someone else, and the circle just keeps getting bigger. Making that God connection. Bringing a bag of chips with you. Or chocolate. Chocolate works too. There was a politician that his campaign had worked on a visit he was going to make to this town, a small town. And they had set it all up, and he was going to tour this factory, and all these people were supposed to come, and he was going to shake hands and meet a whole bunch of people. And he got there, and it was virtually empty. And they were all curious, like, what happened? We had this all planned. Where is everybody? And as the motorcade went through town, they noticed that a whole bunch of people were at a cemetery. And so the politician thought, well, this must be somebody important to the town. It must be somebody like the mayor of the city or the high school principal or something. It must be somebody very important. So they asked. It was Marvin. He was 77 years old, and he was the school crossing guard for 39 years. 39 years. And he was there every day, rain or shine, with a smile on his face, a hug for the kids, asking about their homework, asking about their families. He watched the kids grow up. He knew the parents then, and then their kids. He didn't have any kids of his own, but his family was large and multi-generational. And because he helped so many people cross the street for 39 years, they all helped him cross the street to the next realm. It's a beautiful thing when people make a difference and we let them know it. Christy Nelson says this too: relationships in our lives are gifts, not guarantees. We may all be lovable, but having truly loving relationships is a privilege. Relationships reflect the choices people make again and again to show up and share part of life with us. To be chosen is a blessing, and our relationships deserve to be honored and tended as choices, not givens, no matter how many or few we have. It's a blessing to be chosen, for someone to want you in their life. It's a blessing. And so, go with your feelings. Let your heart lead with these connections. Do you have people that you would like to appreciate? Are there people in your life that you want to let them know how they've impacted you? Don't wait. Say it now. Doesn't matter how, but say it now, as Walter says on one of his TEDx talks. And I want to leave you with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because he said to Luke Skywalker, turn off your computers, turn off your machine, and just go with your feelings. Trust your feelings. They won't let you down. They won't lead you astray, and just go with your heart. And it worked for Luke, and it works for us every time we allow ourselves to lead with our heart, to make those God connections. We can do this. May the 4th be with you. Couldn't resist. Namaste.